Hey, it's your old buddy Bob K, and we're still having fun, even though it's the dead of winter. We're in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and right behind me, we have the Illuminated Falls of Niagara. Those are the American falls, so we're going to take a look at the Horseshoe Falls. And this is a time of year where there's not many tourists around, but it's a beautiful sight. If you can dress up properly for the weather, it's a great time to come out and see the beauty of Niagara. Now, right below me, we have the LED lights that illuminate the falls. It was about a $4 million investment in 2016 to replace the old arc lights, I believe, that existed for so many years. The lights were originally put on the falls for good in 1925. Prior to that, they had a couple special occasions. I think going back to the mid-1800s, they actually lit some flares for some royalty who were coming down to visit the falls. And it wasn't until electricity really was a mainstay. And of course, Niagara Falls is one of the areas where electricity was first introduced, which is a story for another time. But you can see the beauty of the gorge of Niagara. The ice bridge that goes all the way down to just about where the rapids are formed, a little bit downriver. And believe it or not, many years ago, the beginning of the 20th century, they used to allow tourists to walk down on the ice bridge. That is until there was a terrible tragedy and the ice moved and several people lost their lives. We'll take a stroll down the gorge. Very few people down here this time of year. From May on, it's jam-packed on the Canadian side of the border. Of course, across the gorge here is the Niagara Falls State Park, which is the oldest state park in Niagara Falls. Well over 100 years old. On the Canadian side, you've got a couple casinos, a couple observation towers. It's a huge tourist attraction, one of the bigger ones in North America. And believe it or not, back in the 60s, back in the 1960s, Walt Disney actually came to Niagara to explore and see if his Disney World could be located here outside of Niagara Falls. But of course, the difference between Orlando, Niagara Falls, New York, or Canada is the weather. And right now, the Great Walt Disney World is a 365-day-a-year attraction. And the weather would have been a little too forbidding for tourists to come to a Disney World this time of year. See, they've changed the colors on the lights. They'll change according to holidays, special occasions. The LED lights have made a big difference down here. And off in the distance, there are the Horseshoe Falls. That is the Skyline Tower, one of the original towers built down here at Niagara Falls, Ontario. Has a restaurant on top that rotates as you eat your meal. Now those are the LED lights that illuminate the Horseshoe Falls. You can see how powerful they are to cast that glorious light across the gorge and onto the majestic Horseshoe Falls. It really is a magnificent sight. I can't even guess how many tons of ice are sitting there at the base. of the falls and in the Niagara Gorge. There's a brave couple out in the 20-degree temperatures. Although in Canada, they go by Celsius. And no, I can't do the math. We're going to walk down a Table Rock, which is a very famous location to look at the Horseshoe Falls. A number of films have been shot down in this area, including Superman 2 with Christopher Reeves was shot in part in that location. I'm from Niagara Falls, New York, and you never get used to this view. This is a tough view to beat. But right here at the brink of the Canadian Horseshoe Falls. This is the closest you can get to the falls on the Canadian side. The American side has a couple vantage points: Prospect Point, Bridal Falls, and Terrapin Point. But this is Canada. And they have definitely taken advantage of Niagara Falls as a tourist destination. Table Rock. This is also the location where Nick Wallenda walked a tightrope about 11 years ago. Started over on Goat Island on the American side, crossed over live on ABC television. Truly an awesome broadcast. I can't emphasize enough the difference between what the crowds would be like here in July and what they are tonight, and with good reason. You've got to be a hardy soul to come out in the mist, and the breeze, and the low temps. We'll be back in the summer. Of course, I won't have quite the same access. You gotta fight for a spot in the railing in the height of tourist season. So this is a walk around the frozen Niagara Falls in the middle of winter, under the lights, which really enhances what is already a magnificent natural beauty. If you have the winter gear and you feel like walking around and taking in some of the most beautiful winter scenes you've ever seen, then I invite you to come down to Niagara Falls, either side of the border, to see the beauty that has been here for going on 11,000 years, I'm guessing. So that's going to take care of our walk around of frozen Niagara Falls. Under the lights. A very tough scene to beat. But you got to dress warm. It's definitely not Florida. This is Bob K, still having fun. See you next time.